on there, Mr. Perry?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I appreciate everyone coming in today. Um, we have our first episode of the Big Blue topic, man. I am so excited. I get to do it with some geniuses in the Giants community. I'm pumped. I got my man Giant Opinion Sports that y'all see on the bottom. His oh my god, I can't even talk. His channel will be in the description. You guys could actually go now and see it. Same with my man, the big blue corner up there, R dot. His link will be in description as well. How y'all doing?
Yeah, I'm doing just fine. Just been working on some offensive lineman draft profiles and been cranking them out. So that's gonna keep me busy. So doing good.
I'm doing good as well. What's going on, Chris, Charlie? I've been doing a
Going on.
couple mock drafts, trying to get at least familiarized with the all the prospects that's coming out, and looking forward to another starting up some content pretty soon. But other than that, looking forward to the Giants off season and what we do next.
Definitely, man. I'm glad that y'all are doing good. I know the weather up north is insane right now. I am in sunny Florida. Well, not so sunny. It's been raining, but it's like
Shut up.
65 degrees. So
We don't
What
want to
did you
hear
just
it.
say?
We don't want to hear
75?
65. 65.
65? Okay, I'll take that all day, every day.
Hey man, I heard that it's been kind of crazy up there in terms of the snow. So I'm glad that everyone's insane. Oh my god, I almost said insane because I was reading Rodney Max comment.
it.
I'm glad everyone's safe, and I'm glad y'all are good. So today, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start off the show talking about Joe Shane. I wanted to actually get the guys' opinions, and you guys are gonna get their opinions as well. I also want to hear everyone in the chat's opinions on Joe Shane. What did y'all like and dislike? Whichever one of you guys would like to go first, by all means, the floor is yours.
Go ahead, buddy. Go first.
Well, as far as the press conference, I liked what he had to say. He didn't come off as being arrogant or anything like that. He was very humble. And what he was saying, giving thanks to everybody that at least paved the way for him. Brandon Bean, Bill Parcells. He just came off as a very likable, humble person. But other than that, you know, I can't wait to have this guy go to work and get started on getting this team back to prominence.
Honestly, I'm not a big press conference person. I don't care. I want my GM to be horrible. I want him to lie to everybody. I don't want nothing honest to come out of his mouth. So I just didn't want the team completely blown up. I think there's a young foundation here and a little, at least on the defensive side. So I was just happy to hear that he's not going to completely blow up the roster. So I'm happy with what he said. To be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm there with y'all. I'm not really so much of a press conference guy myself. I think that you're gonna hear what he wants you to hear. And I think that with Joe Shane, I liked the genuineness from him. It wasn't no tough guy act. It wasn't these inspirational quotes or anything like that. He had a couple, but I really liked what I heard from the guy, and I think that if we can just let him do what he needs to do as a general manager and not have John Mara or the Tishes, come through and really, if Sean wants to make a decision and Mara comes in and kind of stops that, I just kind of think that defeats the purpose of why he's here. I think that right now we need change, and I think that we'll get that with Joe Shane. Time will tell, but I really do think that we'll get that with Joe Shane. Um, but is it to read this comment here by Mark the Blue Giant? Do I think he's our guy? Obviously, it's a little too early, but if I'm basing it off of his philosophy and him wanting to attack the offensive line, and even if DJ's not the guy, but just build this team and set the foundation, yeah, it's absolutely possible. uh Adam, I'll definitely post a link. We're gonna have people come on towards the end of the show to give their opinions, and then we'll do a mock draft as well. So I'll definitely post that in the chat. Now, One thing I do want to say, I know that we're gonna get into the 2022 cap space, but just I know we're all kind of refreshing Twitter, trying to see who's gonna be the new head coach. It seems like it's coming down to the two Bryans. Do you guys have a favorite for who you would want or who you would prefer?
I'll let you take this
Go
one,
ahead, brother.
Charlie, first.
Oh, okay. Honestly, at this point, I don't care. I really want an experienced coach because I think the problem that the last couple coaches I've run, well, last few coaches I've run into, is they just had really not a lot of experience, haven't been around the league a lot. So an older, more experienced person, they have more contacts. So I think a big deal is just getting the right coordinators in here. Not a head coach. A good head coach is going to be a good head coach. But if you don't have good coordinators at the end of the day and a good steady flow of them, you know, yeah, it could not go so well.
Yeah, I definitely agree there, man. I mean, I think that, and honestly, I think that was Joe Judge's biggest downfall was not bringing
Mm.
in the proper coordinators. Now he did hit it on Patrick Graham. I mean, I think that's been the bright spot to this team. But I mean, we went through what two offensive line coordinators. We fired Jason Garrett. So I mean, I definitely agree with you there. Whoever we bring in, whichever of the Bryans, or even if it's possibly Leslie Frazier, they have to hit on the offensive coordinator. But I'll let you go, Rodney. What you feeling? How you thinking about this?
As far as who I would want for, a head coach, I would rather have an offensive minded head coach. Right about now, with basically how, I mean, with how this team is structured right now, what are we, I guess, based on what we can and cannot do in the draft, or what I would like to see happen in the draft, I think it's better that we have an offensive minded coach. It's pretty much a no-brainer as far as how the NFL, how the league is going. It's a passing league now. So these offensive-minded coaches, you have to take full advantage of that. The only way that we can really see what Daniel Jones is, what he's about, as far as his potential, get a good offensive-minded coach, good OC, get him in here, and let's see what Daniel Jones is made out of. So for me, I would have to say Brian Daboll first, and although pretty much he's the only one that's an offensive minded coach, offensive, um, he's an offensive minded coach. Other than that, that's the only person that I want to see really. I mean, he's done an excellent job with Josh Allen. I know a lot of people critique him as far as, well, who's really doing it, whether it's Josh Allen or him. The way I look at it is this: doesn't matter what system you're in. If the system is benefiting both the coaches and the players, and especially the quarterback, you know, kudos to both, to the whole entire team. I don't want to sit there and separate it and say, well, it's all the quarterback and not the OC or vice versa. You get a good quarterback, you put him in the right system, he's going to be able to succeed. So I want to be able to see that as far as where Daniel Jones is concerned.
Yeah, I'm there with you, man. I mean, me personally, I'm more towards the Brian Dable side, and I'll get into that in a sec. But to be honest with you, I don't think Brian Flores is a bad option either. I know some people have their thoughts on why he shouldn't be the Giants head coach, and I get it. I think that a lot of it plays into the media stirring things up. I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there, but at the same time, none of us were in that building, so we don't know exactly what happened. We're just kind of going off what we're seeing and trusting the information that's out there. When I look at Brian Dable, and you made an excellent point, Art, is that right now we need an offensive coach. I think that regardless of whether you bring in Patrick Graham back or you bring in a Vic Fangio or a Wink Martindale, you know, in my honest opinion, it's really I'm focusing on that offensive side of the ball. Our offense was terrible last year. We weren't even drawing up proper routes for our receivers. We couldn't create separation. Our offensive line, I mean, I don't even really got to go into that. We all know how bad our offensive line was. But when you look at Brian Dable, I know a lot of people want to credit Josh Allen, as they should. But I really do think that you got to give Brian Dable a lot of credit for helping develop Josh Allen. And I actually have a stat here, which is pretty interesting. Buffalo, when you look at their offense, man, they went from 18th to ninth and then to first in the NFL in what, 4 years? I mean, that's insane. And then when you look from a total of points, they went from 28th to 10th to fifth last year and then first this year. I mean, that's incredible considering the fact that we can't score points. I mean, we were lucky to score points. I mean, people were calling us, and myself included, the New York field goal giants. Like it was that bad with Joe Judge. And there's obviously there's cons with, Brian Dable. I mean, he's not he doesn't really have the experience in terms of like being a head coach compared to Brian Flores. I know a lot of people again are going to bring up Josh Allen, but in my opinion, man, I think that he has more pros than cons. I think you can make the same argument for Brian Flores. My only concern with Brian Flores is finding the right offensive coordinator, which, I mean, he struggled with that in Miami. I'm not worried about the defense. He's a strong defensive mind. Let's be real, he's a smart coach. Um, but at the same time, like I think the real question is, can you trust him to bring in the right offensive coordinator? Bill O'Brien's getting thrown out there. I'm not really sure if I want Bill O'Brien, to be honest with you. I know that, when he was with the Texans as a coach, he was pretty solid outside of, that collapse of a lead that he had against the Chiefs. But outside of that, offensively, they were solid. But that's my biggest worry. I don't really have at this point. I don't have a problem with whoever they bring in as a head coach. I just want to hear it already. I just want to know who it is, and they're going to get my full support. Because I really do think that we're headed in the right direction, and we have pieces that we could work with. But I'm glad that y'all feel relatively the same way. I think that at the end of the day, man, we just got to attack this offensive line. Obviously, the QB situation is a question mark. To kind of highlight Blue City Empire Sports comment again, um, he did state that he wants to build around Daniel Jones. And I think, and I'll let y'all give your opinions. I think that that might be a smart move. And regardless if DJ is the guy or not, I think that you should build your trenches. You should go get more, some more pieces to your offense. Uh, and if he's not the guy, then whoever you draft next year or bring in, they're coming into a better situation than what Daniel Jones did. But how do y'all feel about building around Daniel Jones going into this season?
Go ahead,
I
buddy.
mean, I think what Joe Shane, I think what he said in the press conference. Granted, I know Daniel Jones is there, so I don't necessarily think he was going to go and throw him under the bus. But I also liked the honesty from what John Mara said as well. Daniel Jones has been dealt a bad hand. They really screwed up that kid. Anybody who's a real Giants fan, they can see, look, he didn't perform the way he should have been. He performed well as a rookie, and then he basically regressed for the last 2 years. Now, you could say some of it may have been him, but I put a lot of that on Jason Garrett's system. You need an innovative head coach. You need someone that's creative. Jason Garrett was none of that. He had this of 80s style of running an offense, and it didn't benefit anybody. They actually did better in 2020 under Jason Garrett than they actually did in, this year for the what, 8, 9 games that he was around. And even after that, it got progressively worse with Freddie Kitchens, but it was still Jason Garrett's system. So for me, I like the fact that they're willing to give him another chance, without throwing him to the wolves already.
Absolutely.
The kid has literally been given a bad hand. Saquon Barkley as well. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that the injuries were, all because of the offensive line, but you brought Saquon in, you drafted him at number 2. There's a reason why you drafted him at number 2. You wanted him to be an impact player. You brought him in to help Eli out. Okay, Eli's not here. You got Daniel Jones, but you built the whole team wrong. You build the team from the outside in. I'm sorry, from the inside out, not the outside in. And that's where I feel this year, if they are literally if they're all in on Daniel Jones for his fourth year, I wouldn't pick up that fifth year option on him until I can see what Daniel Jones is about. But give this kid an offensive line, give him a good OC, give him and the team some sort of continuity so they're able to build year after year after year. Good drafting, good coaches, good training staff. Bring that all in and let's get this ball rolling.
Absolutely, man. I think you made some great points there. I mean, especially considering the fact that DJ has been dealt a bad hand. I know that there's a lot of things that we could question with Daniel Jones, but I mean, he doesn't have an offensive line. He's gone through God knows how many coordinators since he's came out of college, man. I mean, it's sad. It really is sad. So I do think that if we can attack this O line and build around this kid, we might be able to see something special with him. But how you feeling, Giant Opinion? What you think about this?
Where to start? I mean, I just feel like the last couple of years, Jason Garrett just showed up, slapped down his playbook, and just went, "Let's run it." Which, what are you going to get when you don't have even half of a decent O line? He just ran back the same playbook from Dallas, and that just wasn't going to work here. I hate like scheme specific coaches. I like build your offense around your players. And I think what happened with Pat Shermer is it was perfect. Like he knew he was a scheme fit instantly. That's why he drafted him, brought him in. And what did the Giants do? They fire Pat Shermer after 1 year, 1 season with Daniel Jones. Then you bring in Jason Garrett. And I think
Insane.
you can kind of look back to the coaching aspect because I think Joe Judge had a hard time getting his offensive coordinator in here. And it was kind of like a desperate situation, and ownership made the hire. So kind of goes back to coaching in the same aspect. We need to get the right coordinators in here, but offensive line. Dale, listen, Daniel Jones, is he culpable for some of his stuff? Yeah, he's had poor, you know, awareness in the pocket. He's gotten better over time. Does he
Yeah,
not have the biggest arm? No. He doesn't slide occasionally. He likes to take shot unnecessary hits, but honestly, the Giants have a big investment in Daniel Jones, number 6 pick. It would just be ridiculous to not try and do something with the last year here with him. And I'm a big guy on optics. There's already now, we know there's a lot of dysfunction throughout the building the last to not try
Run
and do five,
something
6 years. And
with
then
him.
if you
I'm a
draft a
big guy.
quarterback, hold up. If you draft a quarterback in the first round and you don't give him a chance at all, what if when the next quarterback we draft comes in the building? Why should he even come here?
yeah,
If I'm a quarterback coming and say, well, look at what you did to Daniel Jones, I'm not putting myself in this dysfunction and in this. No, no, don't draft me. I'll go somewhere else. Kind of like we saw Eli did with all the dysfunction at the time in San Diego. So I'm a big optics guy. There's a certain way you have to do things. It drives me nuts as a fan because we want things to be fixed right now, but that's not reality. And we have to do things the right way. So that's my feeling on that.
yeah, I definitely agree with you there, man. I mean, I think that we have done this kid a disservice. I'm not, dismissing any of the things that he has to work on. I want to stress that. I'm not dismissing that, but I can't sit here and say with an honest, as honestly as I can't sit here and say that he's been dealt a fair hand. And I think that again, regardless if he's the guy or not, you build around this kid, you build a foundation, have your next QB come into a better situation. Because it's when you look at what Daniel Jones came into, I mean, we weren't even doing Eli Manning right. I mean, we didn't even give Eli Manning an offensive line. His best receiver was Odell Beckham, and then we bring in Saquon, and we still didn't have an offensive line. I mean, we went and signed a tight end and Evan Ingram in the draft when we should have been focusing on the offensive line. And one thing that I really like about Joe Shane is his philosophy on wanting to not only draft your players but extend them. If and I honestly see this happening, but if Will Hernandez, were to, walk in free agency, and you have, Lorenzo Carter walk in free agency, that draft is really just Saquon Barkley. It's really just Saquon Barkley, and we don't even think. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even know if Saquon Barkley is going to get extended. It's a possibility they trade him. I don't think they should, but it's a possibility they trade them. So I definitely do think like we've been doing things wrong for quite some time, and it's time for wholesale changes. Now, Blue City Empire Sports says breaking news by NFL rumors: Brian Dable will be the Giants head coach by tomorrow. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of different people coming out saying the same thing. Uh, it's hard for me not to get my hopes up, but I guess we just got to wait till tomorrow to see what happens. But I really do think that they're going to choose Flores, especially considering the fact that right now we do need to build around this kid, and right now we do have to focus on the offensive line. And I think that they have, or at least Joe Shane, at least I think Joe Shane has more faith that Brian Dable could get that solved than let's say a person like Brian Flores, who I think John Mara may personally prefer over Brian Dable. But I wouldn't be upset either way that we went. But again, I'm leaning more towards Brian Dable. Now, Miz says Peter King late last night said to go build him an O line, and Tony Galladay, Barkley are healthy, and let's see what Jones is then. I agree. I think, and I said it after the game, but I think that when you look at that Saints game, that gave you a glimpse of what this offense could be. I really do think that. I think that a lot of people forget that as great of a talent as Saquon Barkley is, man, he was coming off a serious injury. And again, we still don't have an offensive line. On top of that, you have Jason Garrett calling a 1980s, and I'm gonna be honest, I am not as old as y'all. Y'all already know this, but I don't even think this offense would have survived in the 80s. I think it would have been the worst offense in the league in the 80s. I mean, this offense was bad. And then you have the kneeling at the 3 yard line. Excuse me, not the kneeling, the quarterback sneak. I apologize. It's ridiculous, man. But I think if you get the right guy in here, man, I mean, I'd love to see Galladay down the stretch. I'd love to see, and I love, the way that Dable, schemes his receivers open, which Jason Garrett could never do, let alone Freddie Kitchens. I mean, could you imagine, the yards and the routes Kadarius Toney would be doing? I mean, in Brian Dable's offense,
Give
I
me
I
half
don't
of
know if Galladay necessarily fits, but he's no scrub either.
give me half of the Bills offensive playbook, and I would be happy with that if you applied it with the Giants. Just half of it.
Oh,
I would be happy with that. I mean, you saw what he did, what Josh Allen and the Bills did in that AFC game against the Chiefs. I mean, come on now.
yeah, you're
Those those two teams, okay, shows you exactly the reason why we need an offensive minded coach, because the offense was literally battling it out. Yeah, the defense was existent, but for the amount of points that they put up, you pretty much could sit there and say that, you know what, it was literally just the offense on that field, because they were just going at it back and forth like gladiators. That's what I want to see. I want the
exactly.
Giants to be the same exact way: innovative, creative, utilize your weapons, get Daniel Jones to be upright 80% of the time. I'll go as much as say 100%, but sacks are inevitable. But keep him upright, get the ball out of his hand, utilize his strengths. That's the key. Play to this kid's strengths. Don't have him, running out there like Lamar Jackson, because he's not Lamar Jackson.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you, man.
he's got straight line speed. That's pretty much what Daniel Jones is. But he's got a good arm. He's very accurate with deep pat with the deep throw.
Absolutely.
I mean, for what they have literally done, like I said, not giving him an O line, a pretty much a uh, revolving door of OCs and head coaches. He's been dealt a bad hand. Anybody who's a Giants fan, if you're really paying attention, he's been dealt a bad hand. So for me, get him in here. I mean, Great comment there, Brian Perez. Garrett committed OC malpractice. Yes, he did.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
he
That's
did.
why I highlighted it, man. It's true.
Yep.
It
But
is so true. I mean, and there was sometimes, and I will never miss a Giants game, man. I can't. But there were some games this year that were just unbearable to watch, man. Unbearable, man. And it was really sad, man, because even with Daniel Jones out, like this offense was not moving. I mean, this offense was bad with Daniel Jones in it. And I can't even fully put that on Daniel Jones. I mean, I know that we had, injuries to the offensive line, but I'm going to just say it right now. Even if those players, well, let me not say all of them, but you look at the players that retired, I don't think that these are players that, we're banking on, if they were here. Who's to say that they were any better than the offensive line that we currently had at the end of the season? I mean, and it's not like they were good players, at their positions. I know that, I think it was Fulton from the Texans. I know that he was kind of playing a different position when he was, I think, his last year or 2 years with the Texans. But even before that, I mean, he wasn't relatively good. So it's really unfortunate, the way that we've approached things as a team. There's definitely a lot of blame to go around. I definitely think that Mara has to take ownership for that. And hopefully we can do things right. I want to see us do things right. And hopefully we can let, Joe Shane really do his job. Because I think that if we could let him do his job and bring in, the people that he wants to bring in, I mean, man, it would be really fun to see what this team could be, especially because we know that our defense is solid. But if we have the pieces on offense, if the offense could be solid, this is a dangerous team. And I got to give credit to Miz in the chat because Miz had said it the other day. I really do think that the teams like Philly, teams like the Giants, and you could even throw Washington in there, they're creeping up. They're going to be competitive. These teams are going to be competitive going forward. And I think that Dallas is kind of coming down a little bit. I know it may not seem like it, but I really do think that Dallas's window was closing. I mean, I'm sorry. I love Parsons. We should have taken Parsons, but I just don't see them being a team, especially if they fire Mike McCarthy after next season. I don't see them being a team that will be competing for a Super Bowl anytime soon. But let's get into some cap space. Uh, man, this is gonna be a fun one, man. Now, if y'all didn't know, the Giants, man, after paying our players next year, we will have $13,986. Some people have more money in their account than what the Giants have in cap space. I mean, it's bad. There's ways that we could save money. We're gonna go over that. There's definitely restructures that we can do, but for a team that was making it seem that we were going to compete this year for a playoff spot, and at the time the contracts looked pretty good. I mean, we reached a point in the season where we were cutting players and restructuring players two times, just so that we could be over the cap, and sign practice squad players. So with us being at 13,986, I have a couple guys here I think that we could cut and save some money on. But is there any players in mind that you guys think that we could cut off rip to save some money to help with our cap?
Yeah, off rip Riley Dixon,
Got it.
Kyle Rudolph, and O'Shane Zimenez. There's a whole bunch of bottom, like some guys like O'Shane Zimenez. They free up about 1 million because there's really no dead cap hit there. I think Sterling Shepard's here because he only saved like 4 million or something with him. Uh,
Yes.
well, Nate Soldier. I think they set it up so when he's released, it's 4 million dead cap hit, but the rest of his money frees up that it would have been if they kept his contract the same. So I think there's like 10 million that we get from that, which should just about pay for our rookies. But then you got to start making the real tough conversation here, and that's James Bradbury and Blake Martinez.
Yep.
They're the two tough ones.
There is. I mean, and another tough one you could throw in there that I'm not really in favor for is Saquon Barkley. That's another one where you could save money. Um, I agree with you with Shep. Now, I did find some things that were pretty interesting as well. So, Shepka has 2 years left on his 4 year, $41 million deal. Now, if
Yep.
the Giants release him before June 1st, they will save 4.5 million.
Right.
However, if they wait till after June 1st, that'll increase to 8.5 million. That's a big difference. Now, the dead cap space is a little under 4 million. It'll be about 3.95. Um, I mean, but I think honestly, man, I love Shep. I really thought that he could be our dominant number two with Odell Beckham when we drafted him. He had a promising rookie season, but the injuries, man, the injuries. I think not even just from a cap perspective, but just from a human being perspective, man. I mean, he has a newborn kid. I think for the betterment of his health, it would be best if he stepped away. I'm gonna be honest with you, because he deals with concussions, constant hamstring injuries. I mean, he's getting into his late 20s at this point. I mean, it may be best for his long term health, to move on from Sterling Shepard. And plus, we would save money with it. I agree with you with Kyle Rudolph. I I was one of the people, believe it or not, that was actually pretty excited when we signed Kyle Rudolph. For me, it was mainly because of looking at what he did with the Minnesota Vikings. Um, I mean, he was a red zone target. He was consistent. You could count on him like a Jason Witten. But he was bad this year. We, in my honest opinion, threw money in a fire. When we look at it in hindsight with Kyle Rudolph, and I think that he has to be released going into this season. Um, I would personally, we've been saying it on different streams with the Big Blue crew. I would personally take two tight ends in the third round. I think that there's some solid tight ends in this draft that we could take. And we'll definitely, talk about that when we do our mock draft, which will be in a little bit. But I expect them to release Kyle Rudolph. Now, if they wait till after June 1st, they'll save 5 million. So right there, if you wait till after June 1st, just to cut Sterling Shepard and Kyle Rudolph, I mean, you're getting 13.5 million from those two plays.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yeah.
Here's a little something. If we cut James Bradbury, Blake Martinez, Sterling Shepard, Kyle Rudolph, Nate Soldier, Riley Dixon, O'Shane Zimenez, that frees up about 35 million in cap. Okay,
Jeez.
that's about 30 million in a dead cap hit. Now, what they did a couple of years ago is you can split your dead cap over 2 years, so that 30 million dead turns into 15. So that's 15 more million you can play with. So if the Giants cut all them guys, they could have $50 million cap space to play with next year if that's what they choose to do. You're going to have to take that 15 million the next year, but 2 years from now, we're going to have so much money in cap.
Oh yeah.
It's
It's
Well,
unbelievable.
well, for
So that's
me,
always an option. That's 50 million right there. They can clear up if they want. And that could be a good start
well,
for
definitely a good
the
start.
GM. Yeah.
That's definitely a good start. Miz says in the chat that move on from Rudolph, buy Shep, buy Logan if possible, uh, buy Lorenzo, 100%, and also
oh, I'm behind.
O'Shane Zimenez. Honestly, you can't, based off of what Logan Ryan's cap hit is as far as where his salary goes. I don't think he's
He's staying.
someone that you can
You,
cut.
you,
You
you'd
can
only save about 500,000 by releasing
exactly.
him.
So
So,
could
yeah.
you probably restructure that? Maybe, but that all depends on whether or not you want him here for the long term. I think he's on the other side of 30, so that's that's probably not going to happen. So wait, next year he's probably gone. I would cut O'Shane Zimenez. He hasn't shown much. Lorenzo Carter, he showed up periodically through the year, and then
Yeah.
later on in the towards the end he kind of showed up. So you could bring him back on a prove it deal. That would give you what, three edge rushers plus if you pick up another edge rusher in the no, I'm sorry, that would be four edge rushers, and you pick up another one in the draft. I would go that route based off of the simple fact of you have four already right now. You bring in one more. If you decide to let low C play, depending on how he plays on that 1 year deal, if he doesn't play well, that was just 1 year. You can let him walk. You still have Ojolari. You still have Ellerson Smith, and you also have Quincy Roche if you decide to keep him as well. I mean, however they play, with the cap and also going through with all the other cuts. There's players that you cannot cut. You cannot cut Bradbury. Oh, I'm sorry, not Bradbury. You cannot cut Leonard Williams. You cannot cut Dory Jackson. You cannot cut Galladay. Those three, they're here. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Maybe if you could trade Bradbury, he didn't do all that well this year. I mean, he was amazing in 2020. I mean, I'm sorry, 2021. No, I'm sorry, you're right, 2020.
2020.
But
Yeah.
he wasn't. It's like he just took a step back in 2021. So as far as Bradbury is
21.8 million.
concerned,
That's his
yeah.
cap hit. 21.8 million. How are you trading that? That's my thing.
You can't.
What you
Once
talking about, Brad? You talking about Bradbury?
Yeah, 21.8 million cap hit. That's his cap hit this next year.
And
I
I'm gonna be
mean,
honest with you guys. If they didn't restructure Bradbury's contract this season, I would be all for restructuring his contract.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Do you really think Bradbury would want to restructure his contract a third time?
Depends on who the coach is. Probably he's gonna need some time to feel the new coaching staff out. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, but I agree with you. There are players that are going to stay, regardless of whoever we bring in. There's players that we're going to stay. Excuse me. There's players that are going to stay. I think there's players you can restruct. One of them being a Dory Jackson. Dory Jackson's making a lot of money this year. I believe
Yeah,
he's one of our highest paid players.
I still like him though. I like his cap hit. It's not too out of control. I think he's a really good player. I think he's a borderline like shutdown. I think the Giants fans just really don't like Adoree because he's not a physical guy. He's a finesse cover his corner, and we like our corners to come up and crack people. So I like his price. I like how he played. So I'm good with him at least for next
Yeah,
season.
I'm there with
yeah,
you.
me
I
too.
wouldn't cut him. I would not cut him. I would restructure the contract maybe a little bit, but and I think a lot of people's problem with the Dory Jackson is that the picks weren't there. He definitely dropped some, but the picks weren't there because the quarterbacks weren't really targeting him. I
Yeah,
mean, and I love that. There was games this year that Bradbury was getting cooked. If you guys remember earlier in the season, he was playing pretty bad, and then he got his act right. And I mean, that kind of changed when we went back to that bend but don't break defense instead of blitzing a lot and playing man. But Adoree Jackson, I think that's a piece you can build with at least for the next season or two. Aaron Robertson, I really liked what I saw in Aaron Robertson. And not for nothing, I always say this about Joe Judge. There was faults with the guy, but I liked a lot of the players that he drafted. I thought that, again, Aaron Robinson is one of them. I mean, although Azeez Ojulari was a second round pick and he only had, 8 sacks, I mean, there was moments where you saw some brightness with this kid, and he's so young as a player. Xavier McKinney, I mean, dude is a ball hawk. I think if you bring in a Wake Martindale, I mean, man, you want to talk about the ceiling for that kid, or even Ojulari, I mean, or even Vangio. I mean, I really do think that there's some players we could build with. Um, Now another player that I think it's going to depend on his medical, and if he does come back, another player would be Nick Gates. But I'm trying to pull for the man. I really am. But he had a lot of surgeries on that leg, man. So I don't even know if it would be in his best interest, to come back. I know he's a competitor, but he's a big dude, and you putting all that weight on your leg, and then you're going to be moving your feet a lot. I mean, if he were to come back, I don't see it happening till the middle of the season. I know that he's a little ahead of schedule, but and I don't even think I would do it, to be honest with you. I would want as much depth at this offensive line, and I think he's a promising player.
I think he saved five
Uh,
million for Gates.
You
Or no,
do.
he saved 3 million, I think, for cutting Gates.
So looking at it here, if you cut Nick Gates, you save $3.5 million.
Right,
If you cut
right.
him.
I'd
Uh,
give him a shot. At
he's
least give him a chance to come back and try it. But because right
exactly.
now he says his leg's good, he's at the point to where it's just swelling. So if he can get to a point to where his leg's not swelling up when he's standing on it, moving around, he can play. So you never know. Maybe he comes out and starts right off the bat next year. You never know. Everybody heals differently. So give him
You
a
absolutely
shot.
You're right. You're right about that. I mean, highlight Blue City Empire Sports. He says, keep Logan Ryan, keep Jabril Peppers, keep Caden Smith, keep Blake Martinez, and keep Dante Pettis.
I'm coming right now. I am behind. We got so many comments in the chat. I'm trying to
Yeah.
keep up with everyone.
How's it
Actually,
going, Miz? How's it going there, Joe?
shout out everyone real quick. What's going on, Joel, Mac, Mark the Blue Giant, Miz? I see that we got the GOAT, Big Pat in here. We got the
How's it
Cheer
going, Pat?
Aiden. I hope y'all are doing good, man. I mean, I know that I saw Taj in here earlier, Blue City Empire, Adam. Man, I appreciate everyone coming in. I will be dropping the link in a little bit. We're gonna do a quick mock draft. Actually, it's gonna be 7 rounds, but we want to get your guys' input as well. So if you guys want to help us with the draft, hey, it'll make the show a lot more fun. So, and then right
Hey,
after
can I
that,
give Miz credit real quick?
yeah, yeah.
Miz said at 5, take Iquanu, and at 7, take Linderbaum. If you put Iquanu at right tackle and Linderbaum at center, that'd be ideally to come in here and run some kind of zone offense right off rip. I'd like
Absolutely.
to get one of them top edge rushers, but holy shit, that would completely change the complexion of this team and put us down the right path, I think.
Who you
I
telling?
agree with you, Charlie. That's a great point, and honestly, that's a great point by Miz. I want one of these edge rushers, but at the end of the day, Shane said it best. You'd like to see, Daniel Jones, standing upright. You don't want to see him on his back. You would like, for Saquon to hit these holes that aren't being created, but need to be created. So, I mean, I would love to get the offensive line done once and for all. Um, it's going to be really interesting. It really is going to be interesting, man. But I think that's a great comment there. But let's get into this real quick, man. I appreciate that, Joel. Thank you, man. I'm trying to read everyone's comments. I the chat. I feel like every time I click one, there's like 10 more that pop up. But nah, that's another one that I could see us cutting to, Adam, is Dante Pettis. I don't really think that he lasts going into next season, to be honest with you. I would retain John Ross. Hopefully, you can get him on a cheap deal. But believe me, I'm not losing my mind if we cut John Ross.
Well, here's the thing, though, because you're cutting John Ross, you cut Dante Pettis. I mean, who do we have right now? Remember now,
Yep.
Shepard towards Achilles. What is it? In the second to the last game or the last game? So you don't know when he's going to be back if you keep him.
Yep.
You
That's
cut
true.
Dante Pettis. You cut John Ross. Who do you have left? I mean, realistically speaking, you still have Galladay. You have Tony. Are we keeping? Are we keeping Stonehands Slayton? Because he has regressed. Uh, I mean, I couldn't even tell you how much he has
Yeah.
regressed. So my whole thing is, if you do all that, who do you have left? Because you have Colin Johnson, you got Alex Bachman, you got David Sills. There's another guy. Oh, Farrell Cooper. Is it Farrell Cooper? And I think
Yeah.
there's one
Punt
more
returner.
other wide. What was that?
I said, yeah, punt returner.
Yeah. So I mean, as of right now, unless we're going into the draft and drafting wide receivers as well, maybe in late rounds, you got to keep one, maybe two of those guys. And I like Colin Johnson, and the only reason why I pretty much like him is because of his height. He could be another red zone threat. He did drop a couple key passes in games, but I would see whether or not you can, keep him on a, very relatively cheap deal. But
Yeah.
Dante Pettis, I'm up in the ears. I'm up in the air about that. That's 50-50, with me. John Ross, I like his speed. That is the thing. I
Love
like his speed, but he's injury prone. So it's like this team has so much potential, unless and the only way for that potential to actually be seen is if these guys are available and healthy. You know,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
I
And
think
that's
I
been our
think that's the
biggest
main
issue.
thing.
It's been our biggest issue. And Shane came out and said that they're going to do an extensive look as to where our injuries are coming from. Now you had Lawrence Tynes come out and say that he 100% believes it's because these players were overworked. I know that old Giants fans will say well, they were overworked in my time. They did two-a-days. But I really do think that especially when you look at soft tissues, I kind of see it as like a rubber band. And I think that when you keep stretching the rubber bands and you bring it in and you keep stretching it and bring it in, eventually that rubber band is going to pop. And it also doesn't help the fact that our turf is bad. Let's be real, our turf is really bad. So I hope that we could change this turf, man. I want to get some real grass in this stadium. I am so tired of not just Giants fans, but teams around the league complaining about the MetLife turf. The 49ers did it. I mean, they had injuries on our field when they played the Jets. I mean, it's bad, man. It is really bad. And that's something that Mara has to address going into this offseason. And hopefully we can get that done. But let's do this mock draft. I got the draft simulator up right here.
Hold on a second. Adam said, "What about Zoe Carter?"
Okay. For me personally, I would bring Lorenzo Carter back, but it has to be for me no more than a $5 million deal. And even then, I don't even think I give him that, to be honest. I like Lorenzo Carter. There's potential with the kid. Uh, I know a lot of people want to say, he played hard towards the end, because he wants a new contract. And that's a valid argument. But could it also be, he finally felt like himself coming off an Achilles injury? I mean, that's no joke to come back from, especially ACLs too. But Achilles are a completely different animal. I mean, and what we're seeing with Cam Akers with the Rams, that's like an anomaly. The fact that he came back from an Achilles, I believe it was an Achilles tear, over the summer, and he's playing right now is not common, like at all. So
That's
I
true.
mean, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, I mean, me personally, I might sound crazy, but I'd rather keep a player like Roche over Lorenzo Carter.
No, absolutely.
Yes,
That thing.
We have
absolutely.
him for 3 years, and the thing about Lorenzo is you're bringing him in as a depth player because I know we're drafting an edge guy early. There's ways to get around have to worry about the cap. You just give him a big signing bonus. Give him 3 million a signing bonus and a million and then just maybe a million goes against the cap. If you cut him, maybe it's 300,000, 400,000 dead money. So I don't think it's any kind of deal. Bring him back, let him compete with whoever is here. Ellerson Smith, Quincy Roche, and he's a depth guy. Because I think whoever they're going to draft probably in the first round, if Thibodeau or Hutchinson drop, they're going to be the day one starter, and Aziz already has it locked down the other side. So what's it going to hurt? So that's my
Well, I
thoughts on it.
mean,
Yeah,
oh no, I can respect that Giants opinion. I can respect that. Thing about it is with Lorenzo Carter, in my opinion, if you bring him back, you have to let somebody else go.
yeah.
So is that going to be Quincy Roche or is that going to be Ellison
O'Shane.
Smith?
O'Shane's
Well,
gone.
yeah, O'Shane's gone, so I'm not even factoring him into the equation. But
You can
you're
carry
not going to
five
bring
edge
in,
guys. You can
yeah.
carry five edge guys.
I
Remember,
mean, yeah,
Cam Brown isn't an
realistically,
edge guy. Technically, he's a special teams guy. He's a gunner, so he's not going to be considered an edge guy. He'll be a
yep.
special teams roster spot. So I think you could pull it off.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's true. That's true. I mean, with Ellison Smith, he was a project, to begin with, and I don't know whether or not, he played a few games towards the end of the season, here and there, but the kid's got to get more. He's got to get more playing. He's got to get developed more.
Yeah.
absolutely,
Well,
absolutely.
My
this
thing,
this whole this GM has no ties to him. He could come in here and he ain't developed properly, and he could be gone. So don't bank on Ellerson Smith. I get it. He's a high ceiling guy. He's got all the intangibles, but if he ain't showing it on the field, he could be gone up out of here. And then if you pass on Carter, maybe if you draft another edge guy in the back end of the draft and he ain't so great, you could be sitting there going, "Oh, now we don't have great depth like we could have because we did this and that." And
well, be honest with you, Lorenzo Carter is the only edge veteran that we have on the team because everybody else is practically rookies. Yeah,
Yep.
actually, all three of them are rookies. Ojulari, Roche, and Ellison Smith. They're all rookies. So
Except for O'Shane, who's going to be gone most likely.
yeah, he's going to be gone as well. So
as he
you
should.
bringing in, yeah, exactly. So you bring in another edge in the draft. You're pretty much starting rookies and second year players. So you're going to be expecting a lot out of them. So in my mind, if you if you keep Lorenzo Carter, you got to get rid of somebody. That could be Quincy Roche or Ellison Smith. One of the two. You're gonna have to probably get rid of them, unless, like you said, Charlie, keep somebody there for depth.
Yeah,
That's the only way I can see it.
I'm there with you. I think that if you bring back a player like Lorenzo Carter, I mean, even if they do cut O'Shane, right? And let's say they draft one of these edge rushers or whichever. I mean, players like Ellison Smith, Quincy Roche, I mean, they're not going to get the time on the field that they need to develop. I mean, and I think that I know a lot of people are really high on Ellison Smith. He has the length, he has the speed, he has some pretty decent hands, especially for where we drafted him. Quincy Roche came up pretty big. I mean, you look at that Raiders game. I mean, he
Yep.
had, the game sealing fumble, the strip fumble on Derek Carr. So me personally, I mean, even with that, I agree with you, Giant Opinion. We've had him for 3 years. We kind of know, I feel, what we have in Carter. I do credit Patrick Graham because I think that Graham does get the most out of his players. I mean, before his injury last year, he looked pretty promising, especially in that Steelers game. He looked pretty promising. And I think that he could be a player that gets you 9 to 10 sacks. Um, but at the same time, it's a risk, in my opinion. You give a player like Carter, a bag, or even if it's a 1 year deal. I mean, even if he balls out, are you going to extend him? Is he playing to
Probably
the
not.
contract extension?
Probably
So
not.
I just don't see it being worthwhile. I think that if you are going to bring in, a new regime, I mean, let them bring in their players. I mean, there's some nice edge players in this draft. I think that even if you don't, pick up in the first round, you can select in the second round. I mean, and then after that, to me, it's a little bit of a drop off. But I mean, still, if we're talking about depth purposes, why not? But no,
That's true, but what I don't want is a situation like we did with that guy that came up from Minnesota last year, and that's really screwed our edge room. Remember the guy that was converting from the defense? What the hell was his name?
Fetty
But in
Odenigbo.
the, yeah,
Yeah.
Odenigbo.
See, that really, I think, ruined the beginning part of our season because we were counting on him to be, solid for us, and all of a sudden he's gone off the roster, and then we're like, oh shit, O'Shane Jimenez.
And he
So
had I think it was either 1.5 or 1 million guaranteed. So that's
at,
a
at
easy
least you
million.
know what you're going to get with Carter, and also I think with Carter, if he's not cutting it, he's decent in coverage. I think you could kick him inside the middle linebacker, and he would be not bad.
Yep.
So I think he's got versatility. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about Carter.
Now
I like
to
him.
answer Blue City Empire Sports question, he asked, "What about Caden Smith? Should we keep him?" I'll let you
Keep
guys answer
them.
first. Keep him. I'm there
Keep
with
them.
you.
I
I'm a
want
hundred.
Caden Smith to be tight end number 2 next year.
Yep.
That's what I want.
I mean, I have him at 3, but I think that the potential with that kid, I don't know if Judge had a vendetta against the kid. I know that, he kind of was dealing with injuries too, but they weren't severe. I don't know, man. I mean, I really wanted to see, Caden Smith take that step forward in a more productive role. I mean, we saw, especially in, Jones's rookie year. I mean, he was able to find Smith same in his sophomore year. I definitely do not think they bring back or should bring back Toy Lolo. I don't think that with they're gonna bring back Evan Ingram. We're gonna need tight ends. So expect. I mean, I'm gonna just say it now. Expect in the third round. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the second round, but I would definitely look at the third round. Either they use both of those picks or one of those picks at a tight end, but I think it would be both because we're going to be very thin at that position. But absolutely, I would keep Caden Smith. I would have
Jake
no.
Ferguson looks pretty nice. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Well, there's a name that I keep saying, and matter of fact, the guy that me and him both agreed on this. I think it's Iowa State, Charlie Kolar. This kid, I mean, I watched him play a couple games. That's the tight end we need right there. Okay, he reminds me of what's the guy's name? Gonzalez a little bit, where he can
Yep.
catch and he can also block, and that's two of the main things that we need right there: catching and blocking. Um, with Toilolo, I mean, when did we even see him on the field? To be
He's been
Barely,
honest with
hurt.
you, you
barely.
know, he was
He's
barely on the
hurt.
field.
Yeah.
So
He was
you
hurt.
know, yeah, he I think he either do his ACL or his Achilles. I'm not sure exactly which one,
Yeah,
but
I believe it was Achilles. Yep.
you know, with him, he was barely there. Now I actually liked the signing because when he played in San Francisco, he was second behind George Kittle's, and he really did pretty good. He was a very talented guy, and you saw that he can produce on the field. The moment he got here, I mean, where did he go?
Yeah, you're
Just make
absolutely.
sure the next tight end can block, please. That's all I care about. No Trey McBrides.
No, I agree with you there, man. I mean, and another player I was actually about to mention, but Adam, I'm gonna get to Adam's comment because this is the guy, Trey McBride.
No, no.
I
He's
gotta
Evan Ingram all over again.
I like him from Colorado State, man. I think that dude is a baller, man. I really do think that. I think he goes in the second round, but I don't think the Giants take him in the second round. I'm gonna just say that now. But I personally would take him, man. I think that he's a great tight end. There's a lot of good tight ends in this draft, so the Giants will definitely be able to select some quality talent. Whether they go in the second round, which again, I wouldn't go in the second round. I'd wait till the third. But you could definitely find some great talent at the tight end position. Now I'm just gonna read some comments here real quick because your boy is falling behind. Yeah, we would definitely save 12 million cutting or trading Bradbury, man. I mean, we gotta create as much cap space as we can. There's gonna be players we can't move. I think that we can all agree on the players we can't move unless somehow they were to trade Galladay, which I don't see happening. I don't know if he necessarily fits Daboll's offense if Daboll is the head coach, but I mean he's no scrub. He's no scrub. There's definitely moments though in this season where I questioned, his toughness. I questioned, certain plays he was giving up on. It looked like, or he wasn't running at full speed. But I know that he was also dealing with injury this season. So, and same with Kadarius Toney, he was dealing with injuries too. So I mean, I think that we need a solid tight end, man. That's your QB's best friend. And I don't think that DJ has had a solid tight end. Uh, nor, I'm going to be real, I'm going to just say this now. I also don't think that we used Evan Ingram correctly either. When we had
Amen.
Shermer, I don't think that we used Evan Ingram correctly. I would love to
He's
see Evan Ingram, with the team like the Bengals, or honestly, I'd love to see, him in Seattle, or if Wilson were to stay. I think that they would
Evan,
make the most out of Evan Ingram. Um,
Evan Ingram is not a tight end. Okay,
yeah, he's a
he's
wide
not a
receiver.
tight end.
He is a
All
wide
right,
receiver.
exactly. I mean, Miz has got me cracking up in this
I
right
love it,
now.
man. I'm trying to contain myself. Chat,
He's got me cracking up right now.
the chat is
Uh,
killing me.
but yeah, that I mean, yeah, we use it Evan Ingram right? No, we did not. I mean, that touchdown that he made against the Raiders, that is the way that you use Evan Ingram.
Facts.
Okay, go
Facts.
route. You know that's what you do. Make him, throw the ball up, make him go get it. Why couldn't we have done that with Galladay? All year is another question, but that's how you use Evan Ingram. He is not a tight end. All right, he's not. We've all seen what he can do. He doesn't have the greatest ability to run routes, you know, but you set him up that seam, you set him outside, he's going to catch the ball. Well, barring that Eagles game, and we're not even going to discuss that. But you,
Oh, man, don't
you
remind
get
me.
what
Barring
I'm
all
saying,
games.
But yeah, but you get what I'm saying is that he's not a tight end. He's a big wide receiver, and he's more than likely gonna walk. And I hope that he finds success with another team that can utilize his skill set, you know, the way it's supposed to be.
I don't want to be mean. I just don't think he's a skill player at all. I think he's just an athlete. Oh, honestly, I'm just gonna shut up about it. Just good luck to him. Just be gone. Be gone. Never. Be
I
gone.
mean, I know why. I understand why a lot of people are kind of fed up with him at this point. I get it, and I think it's for his best interest, man, and for our best interest. He needs a new slate. He needs to, find a spark with another team. And I 100% absolutely think that he will. I had to highlight this, man. This made me laugh. He says, "Yo, if we draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, you will see me on your local news station Miz in handcuffs by MetLife looking for Mara."
We'll use you as a distracted Miz while the cops are holding you up. We're all running around you. So we'll go
Oh,
get you,
Exactly.
drag him in.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you though. Uh, I'm not for it, but I wouldn't be shocked if you hire a coach like Brian Daboll, and he takes a receiver in the first round. I mean, you don't think he would want to find his Stephon Diggs? I mean, if you want to talk about giving DJ some weapons, I mean, there's some stout wide receivers in this draft. I mean, there's
That's
some receivers that he could really work with. Now, I wouldn't do it. I'm not saying I would. I want offensive line, or one of these perennial edge rushers and an offensive lineman. But I wouldn't be shocked if, who's to say Dable wants his own guy, his own Stephon Diggs. And there, like I said, there's some talent at the wide receiver position. I'm still doing my own research, watching some film, but so far I'm liking the wide receiver out of Ohio State, man. I mean, dude is a baller, man.
now who are we talking about? That
Chris
is it Garrett
Olave.
Wilson or Chris Olave?
Yep.
Okay, because for me, well, I'll start it off like this: O line, O line, O line. Period. End the conversation. End the story. Now, would I be entirely upset and mad if they did a wide receiver? Honestly, I wouldn't necessarily sit there and say I would. It's just that if you're looking at this team based off of what you've seen, as far as if I'm Joe Schoen for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you know what the problem is. It's a glaring problem. It's right there in the open, and everybody has said it from the media to other teams. I mean, it's a glaring need. So O line, O line, O line. But again, we're not the GM. We're not in the Giants organization. We got to be able to just trust that these guys is going to do what's right. But if you don't, then basically what you said in your press conferences is, basically you was just talking just to talk.
Yep.
You want to see what Daniel Jones has. You want to be able to utilize Daniel Jones in the right way. You would like to see this offense pick up and go to where it needs to go. Then you need to be able to do exactly what it is that you have to do. And that is to be able to fix this offensive line. End of conversation. That should
Absolutely.
be the most that should be the number one important thing to do. Number one. And please don't get me started on drafting a quarterback, because as far as I'm concerned, I'll be right along with Miz if they draft a quarterback getting handcuffed at MetLife Stadium going after John Mary and Joe Schoen.
I mean that could be a whole other conversation in itself. Where I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm really started to like Malik Willis. Nobody really drafted just because I think that we have other positions. Malik Willis is looking pretty solid. I'm really
He's like
liking
a
what I
good running back to me.
My God. No, I mean, I think he has an arm. I think that honestly, let's be real. I mean, who's to say that Dable doesn't see him as a Josh Allen type prospect that he could work with? No, I wouldn't do it. I would wait till
He don't
next season.
have Josh Allen talent. He don't have the arm. He don't. No, I'm sorry. No.
No,
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying, man, I wouldn't be shocked. I really would. Although they said that they're gonna build around Daniel Jones, and I think that's the smart decision here. I wouldn't be shocked either. I mean, I think we have to focus on the offensive line. You could go get Garrett Wilson for all I care, who I think is one of, if not the best receiver in this draft. It's not going to matter if Daniel Jones is on his back.
If a
exactly. I
Malik
mean,
Willis drops to the second round, I mean, then if you want to sit down and think about it, but if you take Malik Willis with the seventh pick, I'm gonna go
I,
fucking nuts. I'm sorry for the language. That's like the same damn thing I did with Daniel Jones to me. I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna really lose
Yeah, I
it.
want to take him at 7. The only way I'm
Oh,
taking him in the first round is somehow we go from 7 to like the late 20s. But even then, like I said, I'm not looking to take a quarterback in the first round or even in the second round. If you want to talk later in the draft for like, we're talking about depth purposes, wouldn't mind it. But so far, though, I mean, if we're talking about quarterbacks in this draft, I really am starting to like Malik Willis. I think that he has a high ceiling. But
I mean,
again, I'm not looking to draft a QB early in this draft though. I'm really focusing on this O line. And if DJ's not the guy, you got better talent coming in next year's draft that you could select. Um, but we're just gonna have to see. You have to take a tackle. You're absolutely right, man. Ash. And Pat has a good point here too. There's going to be some free agents, going into this offseason that the Giants could attack on the offensive line. I know a lot of people are talking about, we should expect some Bills players coming over here. I mean, I know that we signed a running back. I believe it was his name is Antonio Williams. I believe from the Bills. He was an undrafted rookie. Excuse me, an undrafted running back. Um, I think that especially if Daboll comes, we should expect some Bills players coming over here. Even a player like Mitch Trubisky, I think that's a player that we got to look out for.
and that's the reason why I would not draft the QB, because if you're
Yeah,
able to pick up a solid backup, there makes no sense to draft the QB this year. I guess I get everybody wants the Malik Willis train. Even they're also on the trade for Deshaun Watson train. Absolutely not. If you can get a competent backup QB in here, one way or the other, it's a win-win. And the reason why I say that is this: if you build this O line and you keep DJ and you bring in a competent backup QB, even if DJ doesn't show what you need to see, you have a backup QB that is basically, there. He can come in and he can do what is needed. He's not a Mike Glennon and he's not a Jake Fromm. However, regardless of the fact, if you know that DJ is not the issue, at least you have set this team up and that next quarterback that comes in to be able to at least be successful because you've addressed the problem, or you've pretty much addressed it to the extent of what you're able to do it in a draft. But there's no way, and this is just me, I can't speak for anybody else, but I am not taking a quarterback in this draft at all. I'm not saying that none of the guys aren't worth it. Malik Willis is a good, he's a very good player. Kenny Pickett is a good player. Matt Corral. Okay. Sam Howell, he was in that RPO offense in North Carolina, but he's got a good arm. But even still, I would not take any of these quarterbacks at all. I don't care how special Malik Willis is. In my opinion, you stick with Daniel Jones, you fix this offensive line, and if he is not the guy, then you at least set this team up. And the next quarterback that you bring in, whether it's through the draft or a high, money free agent signing, you've set them up to be successful, not to fail. That's just my that's just my take on it.
Nah, that's a great take, man. I mean, regardless, I just want to build a solid foundation, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And if Jones isn't the guy, you make sure that whoever you decide to either sign or draft next season, they come into a better situation than what you did with Daniel Jones. Again, I'm gonna keep saying this. I can't say honestly that this kid was given a fair chance. He wasn't. I thought it was the wrong decision to move off of Pat Shermer after 1 year with him having Daniel Jones. I think that they should have given him another season. And honestly, man, I mean, Jason Garrett did him no favors either. If you want to credit him on, cutting those turnovers in half, I'll give him that. But outside of that, there's still things that the kid has to work on. I know Blue City, you don't want Trubisky. I personally think that if you do bring in a guy like Daboll, he's gonna want someone familiar with his scheme. I don't think Trubisky is terrible. I think that he has a decent arm. I think still to this day he has yet to throw a pick six, which I mean for a guy that can kind of turn the ball over a little bit, I'll give him that. But he had a year under his belt as a backup over there in Buffalo. He knows the scheme, and I think that that's a player. I mean, either him or Mariota. that would genuinely challenge and spark a fire under Daniel Jones. I mean, you get Daniel Jones in offensive line, get him someone that's actually going to be, a threat, if you will, to the starting position. And I think that you really will see the potential with Daniel Jones, man. I mean, because let's be real, Glennon isn't going to spark no fire under Daniel Jones. Colt McCoy wasn't going to spark no fire under Daniel Jones. Jake Fromm. I mean, these aren't players that, we were sitting here saying that could take Daniel Jones's job. But if Daniel Jones, which I think at this point we could kind of say that he's injury prone, if he were to go down or if for some reason he gets benched, I think that you could transition Mitchell Trubisky a lot easier and smoother than Mike Glennon or even a Colt McCoy. You could run the RPOs. Mitchell Trubisky is pretty athletic. If you need him to go outside of the pocket, I mean, again, he has a pretty decent arm. So I would expect Trubisky personally. Um, I know some people want Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm not looking at
No,
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
no. I'm
No,
sorry to cut you off there, Hit
sure,
Squad. I'm
man.
sorry, man, but absolutely not. I'm
Can I
sorry.
just be honest? I don't give a damn who the backup quarterback is.
I mean,
I don't
I
care.
understand. I
I
think
don't
that
care
they
at
should
all.
put more value into it though, compared to what they did this year, where we rushed to sign Mike
We
Glennon.
got a good pick. We got a better pick because of what that idiot Glennon did.
Oh,
That's true.
absolutely. And throw Jake Fromm in there too. And I mean,
I
I
don't
know
care.
I get it, but I do think that we have to upgrade at that position. I'm not going to spend a lot of money at that position, but I think that if we're looking at in terms of quality, it's got to be than what we have with Mike Glennon. Which, before we get into the draft, all I want to say is, I understand maybe why they went out and signed him. He did pretty solid over there in Jacksonville, given the circumstances. I actually think that this was the worst year in Mike Glennon's career as a football player, which is insane because he's been
Colt
in the league.
McCoy's too. The year before Colt McCoy was here is by far his worst year ever.
Yeah,
So what does that tell you?
Jason
That
Garrett was
says
horrible.
more. Exactly, it says more about the system than it actually says about the player. Because how is it that you can justify bringing in Mike Glennon based off of what he showed you in Jacksonville, and then as soon as he got here, he played like ass.
Yeah,
Nicely be. I'm putting it nicely, but he
you good.
played like ass. So a lot of it has to go. A lot of it has to do with the system that these guys are in. You could not, if you saw what Daniel Jones was doing in Jason Garrett's system, everybody was pining for put Mike Glennon in, Mike Glennon, Mike Glennon. You saw what he did. Then the next thing you know, it was like, well, okay, Jake from State Farm, put him in and see what happens. So to me, okay, Mike Glennon, I agree with Adam. Glennon should never be near an NFL team ever again. That's a good one, Adam. Definitely. Jake Fromm, he was a 5th-round pick for a reason.
Yep.
My whole thing is get a decent system in here to be able to benefit Daniel Jones or whoever the quarterback is. You got to be, again, creative and innovative. That's the key with this NFL right now, as far as the offense and how they're, look at what Josh Allen, and again, I'm going to keep going back to this one particular game. Look what Josh Allen and look what Patrick Mahomes did in that game. I mean, they were throwing the ball all over the place. If that doesn't
Yeah,
tell you that
corners were
this
falling all over the place too. How many times did
exactly,
cornerbacks fall down?
That does play a factor, but they was airing that thing out, man.
Dude,
They
that was the
all
most
game.
disgraceful game I've ever seen. The most disgraceful game I ever seen.
what?
I'm an old school guy.
Defensive wise, it
It
was.
was disgraceful. It reminded me of that Giant Saints games years ago. It was like
Oh, with Drew Brees and
49-52. I can't stand guys like just put flags on their hips if you're gonna want. If that's the future of the NFL, I'm out. I'm good. I don't want to watch that shit.
Nah, I mean, for me, I love that game, man. That was such a fun game to watch. I loved it, man. I really did. I can't lie. I really loved it.
I thought it was pathetic. It was a pathetic showing by them defense. They ought to be ashamed of themselves, to be honest with you. I know that's an unpopular take. I don't care. It's how I feel. It was awful.
I hear you.
I can respect that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to Patrick Mahomes too, man. 13 seconds. I mean, usually when a team scores and you got what 30 seconds or even a minute left, that can be kind of hard to come back from. But 13 seconds is really impressive. To answer your question though, Blue City Empire Sports, I would not take Nick Foles over Mitch Trubisky. I know that he's a Super Bowl winning QB, but if I'm looking for a backup, I really want a backup that could fit this system. And I think that this is a great comment here by Ash. I really do think that Mitch and DJ, outside of accuracy and maybe, arm strength, I think DJ has a little bit stronger of an arm than Mitchell Trubisky. I think that they can run the same system. I think they're pretty close to each other if we're looking at athleticism, if we're looking at their style of play, absolutely. Or even again, even Mariota, because even Mariota was winning games over there with Tennessee. But when you talk to Tennessee fans, one of their biggest complaints was that he was too conservative, which that could be a fault. I mean, but you could also make that argument for Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy was very conservative. He's still a conservative quarterback. Um, but I really do think that if I'm a general manager, and let's say you bring in a guy like Brian Dable, I'm looking at Mitch Trubisky personally. But if it's gonna cost a bit, if it's gonna cost a lot of money, man, I wouldn't do it. I'm looking at the draft at that point. But Mitch Trubisky is the guy that I'm looking for.
Can I
Uh,
say something about Mitchell Trubisky real quick?
Go for it, my man.
Listen, he was a low pick in the draft for a reason. He has all the tools. He has a rocket arm. He's quick. And even when you saw the game last year when he played the Bears, he can make subtle movement in the pocket that can buy him extra time. The problem was in Chicago, there was reports they had to take the TVs out of lounges and stuff because he
Yep.
would, when they were talking shit about him, he would freak out. He's a head case. He's Julius Randle if you're a Knicks fan. So I think that's where the difference you get from Daniel Jones and Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky has everything you could ask for a modern day moving quarterback. That
Yeah,
dude just doesn't have it mentally. So I think that's where the difference between Daniel Jones and Mitchell Trubisky is.
yeah. I mean, I think that Daniel Jones handles the media fairly well. I got to give him a lot of credit there. I think Mitch could adjust to it. I think he's a good kid, but he definitely, in my opinion, doesn't have a lot of confidence. And the reason why I say that is, again, as you just stated, the fact that they had to turn TVs off and take TVs out because he couldn't handle the criticism. I mean, you don't want to hear that about your quarterback ever. If I was a Bears fan, that would really concern me. Um, I also do think that it's great, and I know that Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year, but you look at him this year, you look at him last year, man. I mean, that man's I don't know what was going on with that man's offense. I mean, we look at Joe Judge, and I know that he's gone, he's out of here, but I know that we complain about Joe Judge's offense, but Chicago's offense was bad, man. I mean, Justin Fields this year, dude was getting killed what seemed like every time he stepped on the
Oh
field.
my god.
It
Yeah.
was sad, man. I mean, I saw people making memes of this man just laying on the ground after taking like, a huge sack. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty funny, but still, like, um, now, Pat says, tell me this. If Willis comes here, would you feel that we have a different feel for this team as far as what? If this kid is the real deal? I'll let you answer this first, Rod, and then I'll let Giant Opinion go, and then I'll go from there.
I mean, again, this is just my opinion. When I look at Malik Willis, I see a lot of Lamar Jackson. Uh, he has good arm strength, and I mean, he's one of those. He is a mobile quarterback. He is not a quarterback that can run. He's a mobile quarterback. So he reminds me of Lamar Jackson. Would I be upset if they brought him in? I would be upset with the pick because I don't think we would need it. But if they see something in Malik Willis that can possibly benefit the team in the long run, then I wouldn't be against it. I think that it would serve him to be, serve him as far as learning and yet go transitioning to the NFL if he sat a year and learned. I think it would be beneficial. I would not throw him into the mix right away thinking that okay, he's going to be the savior of the New York Giants. Absolutely not. I don't think he's 100% NFL ready.
Yeah,
But
I'm there with
you
you.
know,
Um,
But other than that, that's the way I view Malik Willis. I would be upset with the pick, but I would welcome the kid, you know, and see what he can do as far as being able to learn and pick up whatever he needs to pick up as far as the offensive system and basically grow into it to where he'll be a beneficial player and possibly even more after that.
yeah, I agree. And I gotta do before I let you go, Giant Opinion, I gotta break some news. Official by Ian Rappaport. The Giants are working to hire Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll as their head coach. The two sides will attempt to do a deal and reunite him with old friend and New York Giants general manager Joe Schoen. That's
Nice,
insane,
nice.
man. I'm loving it, man. I really am loving it. Um, I said earlier in the stream, guys, if you guys didn't hear, I wouldn't be upset if we went either way. I, it was going to come down to the two Bryans, and now we know which Brian that the Giants are going to select. Um, I also said in previous streams before, if he didn't take the Giants job, Brian Flores, I thought he should have went to Chicago. I thought he would have done well in Chicago personally. But now we know. Now we know who our head coach is gonna be, man. I'm pumped. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling, man?
Well, I'm going to pump the brakes on it because we all were saying this stuff about Matt Rule last year, and then Carolina shot a ridiculous contract that we just weren't going to give. So maybe
Yeah.
they go to Miami with the offer they got, and Miami gives them an offer that blows them out of the water. So I'm just going to wait and hold off and relax. And even if he is the next head coach, I'm just going to wait and relax and see how this all works out. Let's see what we do in free agency. Let's see what kind of coordinators that's what I'm really focusing on hard. He's a young coach. It's going to be very important that he gets in really good coordinators and a really good staff in here. And we also have so many young guys. We just this coaching staff is going to have to be good at developing players. That's just pure and simple. So I'm just honestly I'm just at this point like what don't really care who the coach is.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'll say this: I'm very happy that they went with Bill Daboll because, like I said, I think this team would benefit from an offensive-minded coach. And nothing against Brian Flores, but you know, going in a different route, and also with the simple fact that he knows Joe Schoen. So, with that sense, you have a head coach and a GM on the same timeline, and hopefully on the same page as far as where they want to see this team go. I'm not saying that it couldn't be Brian Flores, but Brian Flores has his own way of thinking, how his own way of handling a team. Maybe with Brian Daboll, when between him and Joe Schoen, they can come together and build a team they feel can produce on the field, and bring us, maybe not to the playoffs right away, and definitely not a Super Bowl, after a year, but heading in the right direction, progressing every single year. So I'm all for it. But as you said there, Charlie, I'm not going to, give him all the praise and kudos right away. I definitely want to see the offensive scheme that he brings in, and definitely the offensive coordinators and the other coaches, especially the coaches, to be able to coach up the offensive line and every other position that we have. So I'm definitely open to seeing that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm there with you, man. I mean, I love the signing. I'll be very upfront with it. I do love the signing. However, I'm not gonna, jump up and down. I gotta see it to believe it first. I want to see what we do in free agency. Because for me, man, I mean, I got really pumped last year. I got sold in last year. I really thought we was going to the playoffs last year.
We all did.
I'll be back
We
wrong,
all did, man.
but I just I got to see it. I got to see what we do, But I'm pumped. I'm pumped for what it is, man. I mean, I really do think that Brian Dable could come in here, fix this offense. Joe Schoen, I mean, he already said that he's scouted the first to the fourth round. So, I'm sure he has a good idea of the players he wants to bring in. And now, we got two people on the same page, man. I mean, I think this is really big news, man. And now we just got to see, like, again, the people that he brings in. I mean, is there a defensive coordinator you guys have in mind that you would want to bring in personally? Or
Yeah, Patrick Graham.
Yep. I'm there with you. I'm there with you. I want either him or Wink Martindale, but I would prefer Graham. Well, let me not say prefer Graham, but I'd like Graham to stay.
For me, well, the question is whether or not Daboll is going to be head coach and offensive coordinator. That's the question.
Yeah.
Because if he brings, okay, is he going to bring over Ken Dorsey? Because Ken Dorsey was what? I'm not sure, the QB
I
coach or
believe
wide
the
receiver
QB coach.
coach.
Yes.
Okay, if he's a QB coach there, more than likely he's in line to be an offensive coordinator in Buffalo. So whether would he bring him over or not?
That's
Again, the
I
same
don't know.
question is, yeah, the same question is, what is Bill, Brian Daboll going to do? Is he going to be a head coach and offensive coordinator? You see how that works as far as Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan. They have offensive coaches, but they're the ones calling the plays. So how is that going to work? Who is he going to bring in? As far as the defensive coordinator, I'll be honest with you. I want to. We've seen what Patrick Graham can do. He has literally he did a lot with nothing. You know, relatively speaking, but Wink Martindale. I mean, you see that Ravens defense. Granted, there was a lot of injuries over there, but he's a good defensive coach. So I'm kind of in a toss up between Patrick Graham and Wink Martindale.
Yeah, I'm there with you, man. That's actually where I'm at too. I would personally love to have Patrick Graham back. I mean, he gets the most out of his players. I love his bend but don't break scheme. I think that again, with him getting the most out of his players, I mean, we saw Leonard Williams have an 11 and a half sacks. I mean, coming off of a year we had one sack, or half a sack, I believe. So I would love to bring him back. I think Wake Martindale, though, if and I got to say this much. I mean, Patrick Graham, I think that he is deserving of, he's getting an interview with the Steelers as their defensive coordinator. The Vikings are interviewing him as well. I mean, he's a great guy. He's came out and said that this is his dream job, which I love to hear as a fan. And I think that if you could get him some more pieces, man. I mean, we already know what we get with Patrick Graham. We already know that he's going to come in, he's going to do his job. And I like the adjustments that he makes throughout games. But if you're telling me that we could bring in Wink Martindale, sign me up. Like, sign me up yesterday. I'm going to just say it, man. I'm going to just really say it. So I'm excited
Wait,
to have Daboll, man.
he
Uh,
he
again, I'm
runs a man. He runs a Blitzman's team, right? Like defense.
who, Wink Martindale?
Yeah, he was in Baltimore, wasn't he?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, yeah. I used to love them kind of defenses. Like when Betcher came in, I was really pumped about that. Just an aggressive defense.
Yeah.
After the
It didn't
last
work
couple of
out.
years, after the last couple of years with Graham, I really kind of changed my view on it. On just with the passing nowadays, I mean, you're going to give up big plays, quick scores when you play that style defense. So it's just a thought, that's something you're gonna have to deal with if you make that hire.
Absolutely, man. You are absolutely right about that, man. It's it's really going to come down to what is Dable going to want, man. And again, if you're asking me, I am bringing I'm bringing Wayne Martindale. But if I can't, I have no issues keeping Patrick Graham because I think that you know what you're getting with Patrick Graham. Um, and I think honestly, man, you could get this kid. I called him a kid, Jesus, but you could get this guy, a perennial edge rusher. Could you imagine this defense? Or if you get him some linebackers, I mean, even if you bring back Martinez and you have him as your third linebacker, at that point, man, I mean, I'd love to see what Patrick Graham could do. But
I
if
mean,
I'm what's up?
no, go ahead, finish what
Oh
you're
no,
saying. It's fine.
I was just gonna say, but at the same time, if I'm Patrick Graham, if the Steelers offer me a job, I just may take it. I think that I would love to see him get the most out of TJ Watt, who almost broke Michael Strahan's record this year. I would really love to see him with that defense. I think that if he wants to become a head coach at some point, which he has stated that he wants to, and we interviewed him as well. But if he wants to, man, I mean, what better way than to, have the Steelers on your resume, have the Giants on your resume, and have a proven track record of having, top 10 defenses. And again, I think that he would do well over there. PJ Ty, I mean, thank you, man. I mean, I'm gonna wait to see. I'm gonna wait to see how it goes and who he brings in. But I'm very happy with who we signed, man. I think that you couldn't have gone wrong with either of the Bryants. But I was leaning more towards Daboll, so I'm really loving it, man. He says he'll open up your playbook and work great in tandem with Joe. I agree with you, bro. I think that
Oh, yeah.
we will see a better offense. I think we have to see a better offense, especially if you improve this offensive line. We're going to see our receivers create more separation, hopefully, and hopefully we don't see any more of these curl routes. I am done with
Never again.
I'm so done with it. I was done with damn near Ben McAdoo and the damn slants. I'm done. So I want to see us stretch the field. I want to see us use Kadarius Toney like a Deebo Samuel. I think that honestly, man, I think that may be the future of the league, man. There's going to be some receivers in this draft that can definitely play that Deebo role. I'm not saying they'll be Deebo, but you could definitely put them in that kind of a role. But with that being said, man, y'all ready to do this draft?
Yeah, let's get
Sure.
into it.
Why not?
Alrighty, we're gonna do this here. So what we'll do is we'll do one. We'll have you guys help us out in the chat, and then after that, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat so you guys could call in. You guys could give your thoughts on our new head coach. You guys, if you want to do another mock draft, we can. I do not mind at all. But let's get this started, man. Give me one moment. Okay, this is what we got here. Let's start the drafts. All right, so Jacksonville making selection. Aiden Hutchinson, Derek Stinley to the Lions. That's insane. Andrew Booth Jr., Kayvon Thibodeau to the Jets. All right, so on the board right now, I mean, obviously Thibodeau and Hutchinson is gone. Who y'all feeling? Y'all want to take Neil? You want to take
Yep.
Iquanu? Who you guys feeling?
Neil.
Neil?
I'm,
Same
I'm
with
I
you,
gotta
Ronnie?
I gotta go with no. I gotta go with Iquanu. He's much more. I mean, he's a much more physical player than Evan Neal.
All right,
Evan
Chad,
Neal,
what do y'all think?
You're getting the
I think you
pass
got to go with
protection with Neil. That's what I care about. I want the pass protection. So
All right,
yeah,
you're the
but
tiebreaker. You're the tiebreaker. Hit squad.
well,
me?
let me say this:
What's up?
with you're right, you're getting a pass protector, but with Iquanu, you're getting not only a pass protector, you're also getting a very versatile player because he can play
He can
pretty
play.
bad
Yeah.
right guard, right tackle, left guard, left tackle,
But what's the
and
scheme?
he's
Because
very good in the
if
run.
if it's a zone, I don't want to play in guard. I'll run him at tackle. If we're going to run a power gaps kind of scheme, I want him at guard. So I think there is a little nuance to it with him at the same
Exactly. Yeah,
time.
you're
So,
right.
For
No, you're
sure.
right
and
about that.
that's a hard thing to talk about at the moment, not even knowing what we're going to be running.
Yeah,
So,
you're
But the
absolutely right
key,
there.
yeah, you're right. But the key is also looking for someone that's versatile. So if I'm looking at it just from that standpoint, and I understand where you're going with it as far as what scheme they're going to be running, as far as versatility is concerned, I want to go with Iquano.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I released a mock draft 1.0 a couple days ago. It's gonna pay me to do this, man, but I'm gonna take Aquanu. I really don't think you could go
oh,
wrong.
you guys are making a huge mistake.
I'm sorry,
Huge mistake.
man.
You're gonna look. We're gonna look stupid. We
Sorry.
just passed on Becton again. Look at this. Oh no.
I'm sorry,
Wait,
man.
did you say we passed on Becton? Oh man, you see how that kid's playing right now?
Now
He stays hurt.
let's see what we have.
Oh well, come on. You're saying Neil's gonna be hurt for his entire second
No,
year?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. Do y'all want to
All
do
right,
spades, or
continue.
do you just want to do it like we just pick the players 5, 7, and just keep it going from there?
Well, here's a question with this right now. Is there well, are you doing trades or are you just doing a straight draft?
No, that's what I was asking. Do y'all want to do trades, or do you want to just do a straight draft?
Just do straight. It was
Okay,
Yeah.
the
that's
trades
fine.
are so confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. That's straight with me. So we could go, offensive line again. I mean, we could go and pick up, a nice edge rusher, man. What are you guys feeling, man? I mean,
Well,
you
the
still
edges,
Linderbaum
the two
there.
edges I'm interested are gone. I'm not too interested in Karlaftis. If you're taking Iquanu and you're going to slide him in a tackle in a zone, I'm taking Linderbaum. Just gotta be
I'm
honest
there
with you.
with you. I'm there with you, man. So
I'll
we're
have to
I'm a
gonna
agree
zone
have
with
a
you
guy.
on that. I'll have to agree with the London Bomb pickup.
all right. So we got Akeem, we got Linderbaum, man. I mean, sheesh, it's looking good, man. I'm loving how we're looking right now. So we're gonna head towards the second round. I just wish this thing would speed up a little bit. I accidentally selected it on slow, but we just like this for right now. Read some comments in the chat till we get to the second round. I agree with you, man. He says if you guys are having different views, man, what is it like to be on the hot seat as a head coach and general manager? I'm not trying
You're
to
right
be in
about that.
that. I could not imagine the anxiety that is in that room during that. I gotta be 100% real. I would not want to be in that room at all. But we are
Well, you
coming
see
up.
what I just did? You see what I just did? I said, all right, we need a tiebreaker. I think that's the proper way to run
Yeah, and
to sit
I
on
mean,
that
Joe
seat.
Shane did say, if we have a difference in opinions, we're gonna go and look and see. Okay, what are you seeing compared to what I'm seeing? Maybe I don't like
Right,
some of the things that you may like, vice versa. So
right.
I really do
We're
like
gonna
that.
sit down and watch the tape together, boys, for a couple days.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yes, sir. All right, so second round, pick number 36. Man, all right. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I would love to go edge here. I think that we really do need an edge rusher, man.
Agree, agree.
We got Jermaine Johnson, who I think is pretty solid. Uh, Logan Hall. Mm, I
I
don't
don't know
know.
anything about him.
I'm sorry. Repeat that, Rodney.
I don't know anything about him, but I
Logan
will
Hall's
say
got some
this.
hype. He's got some hype out there.
I would have to watch some tape on him to see more about him. That's the first I really heard of him.
Yeah.
Uh, the three that I've done some research on is Jermaine Johnson, Myjai Sanders, and Kingsley Enigbar. And yeah, Enigbar.
Yeah, from South Carolina. Correct.
Um, Drake Jackson, I got to do some on him as well. If we're doing it from just a value, a positional value, then the key, right now it says, the best is Logan Hall, but Jermaine Johnson's got a lot to work. He's got some things to work on as far as uh, getting off his blocks better
Mm.
I'm a
and
Right.
Sanders
not
guy,
getting.
so that's my vote.
Yeah, for
Okay.
me, it's a toss up between Sanders and Nickberry. So
Yeah, we got Sanders and Nigbe. I personally want Jermaine Johnson. We got to come to a decision here. All right.
we could do rock paper scissors.
Yeah, we could absolutely do that. Chat, what are y'all thinking? I see Adam says Johnson. What are y'all feeling? Y'all want Jermaine Johnson? Y'all want Majay Sanders, Kingsley Ignabre from South Carolina? How y'all feeling, man?
Yeah, let's see how many people can respond in the next minute. Maybe get a consensus from those guys.
Man, I'll wait 20 seconds.
Okay, 20 seconds. All right, 20 seconds.
Hey, you're the one with the computer in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait. I'll count it. I'll count it down.
All
So
right.
let's get anybody else
Well,
to. I'm
Adam
seeing
says Johnson. Mark says
Johnson.
John
All right,
Johnson.
let's do Johnson. And I guess Johnson's the guy.
All
So
right, Jermaine
we'll
Johnson,
take him real quick.
defensive end, Florida State.
Hey, that's a nice pickup right there, man. You want to
That's
talk
not
about
bad.
that is not bad. I know that Logan Hall, I know that there is some hype behind him. I know that he has some pretty decent length. His size is pretty solid as well. I do want to do more research into him, to be fair, because I just don't want to, just talk out my ass. But Jermaine Johnson is someone that I've been looking at, and I mean, man, there's things that you can work with, just like Rodney says, but there is things that he has to work on as well, just like Rodney said as well. So, I mean, I think you're getting your value there. I think it's a little bit of a drop off, compared to obviously the perennial players that we could have selected in the first round, whether that's Karlofkis or Ojabo. But I'm not upset at all with Jermaine Johnson. Now we're coming up here at pick 67. Damn, yeah, definitely. The next time we do this, I'm gonna have it go faster because this is ridiculous.
Well, the next, yeah, that's true. Next time, now here's the crazy thing, because all my mock drafts, I've always took trade backs, and that was one of the key things for me is to be able to accumulate more draft picks and be able to pick up a very key second round pick, an additional second round pick, because if you do that, you got two firsts, you got two seconds, you got two third. Whatever else, after that, 4, 5, and 6, that's pretty much what it is. But I always try to get that second round, another additional second round, because that actually opens it up more. You're able to address those needs and still be able to pick best player available. So, I mean, again, that's just me and how I do my mock drafts. But that key second round pick, that pretty much, I mean, from where we picked 36 to now 67, that's a lot. A lot of good players are off the board. So,
Yeah,
at this point, you probably have to go best player available.
I mean, you got Malik Willis right there, man. Third round. I'm just
I'm not,
saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I mean,
I'm
I've
not
been.
pulling that trigger, man.
I know. I've been
what tight
saying.
ends are there on left?
That's the key right there.
Yes, sir. We spoke about it a little bit ago, man. I'm excited. After this draft, we're almost done. I'm gonna drop the link so we can have people call in, give their thoughts. Um, I mean, I'm really. I want to wait to see. Obviously who he brings in. I don't want to get too excited, but best believe G Nation, I am pumped. I really do think that we selected the right Brian. I don't think he could have gone wrong either way, but I'm expecting vast improvements to this offense. I mean, obviously, it's going to take some time, but you get an offensive mind like Brian Daboll, man. I mean, it's more of a wait and see, but I'm liking the hire a lot. Definitely liking it. Um, Now, if we go in terms of positional value, you still have Kyron Williams. Again, you do have Kingsley right there too. Now you do have Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina, Jeremy
Wow.
Rucker from Ohio State. Um, you still have Sky Moore from Western Michigan. We are going to need some wide receivers. Um, let's see, Quay Walker from Georgia. He had a pretty solid year.
Well, let's
Yeah,
see.
he's a hell of a player,
Yeah.
Quay
Yes,
Walker.
he is. Well,
So
the one that I really wanted was Christian Robinson, as far as uh, a linebacker, the kid out of Alabama. Every single time I did a mock draft and I had a second round pick, he was available. I was taking him right then and there. So,
Quay Walker,
I
is that what we're doing?
no, what's his name? Christian. I think it's Christian. Oh man, he was a linebacker
Christian
from.
Watson.
Yeah, no. He's a linebacker out of Alabama. He was already picked.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. My bad. I,
Yeah,
I was confused for a second. Um, Shit. I mean, Mac, you make a great point here. I mean, you may have to take him based off the value. Um,
I'll take a tight end here. I would have to take a
yeah,
tight end at this
that's
position
what I'm
here that's
trying to do. To
available.
be honest with you, is take a tight end. Again, I mean, oh, you got Garrett Prince here too.
I mean,
Oh,
shoot, you got Likely available, Ferguson available. I mean, wow.
I mean,
It
there's
just
some.
Ferguson's there?
Yeah,
yeah.
Ferguson from Wisconsin.
Oh my
I
God,
like.
if it's me, I'm taking him. I ain't even thinking about it.
All right, so you try. You good with that, Rodney?
Yeah, I'll go with well, wait a minute. Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, from Coastal. I mean, he's there as well. Now we do have
He
third.
remember he's really raw, man. He is a really raw prospect, really small guy. So I mean, you're taking a chance. It's hit or miss with him. Boom or bust, right there.
Well, you're also, I mean, same thing with Jake Ferguson taking in this high, but once a tight end or two starts going off the board, that's pretty much where they're going to start going. Boom, boom, boom. Within a few
Absolutely.
picks of each other, they're
That's
going to
true.
start coming
Yeah,
off the board quick.
yeah.
So,
Trey McBride just went. I see to the Jags. So
Before
yep. I mean,
anything, really quick, thank you, Prodigy. You look new to the channel. If you can for us, man, hit the subscribe button. We're just trying to grow over here. The two guys that you see me talking to here, Giant Opinion, the big blue corner, Their links, I mean, they're in the description as well, man. So if you could subscribe and like the channel, man, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, I don't know if you just came in just now, but I'm liking the hire. I'm gonna do a wait and see approach, see who he brings in, what we do in free agency and the draft. But I mean, I really like it, man. So thank you for stopping by, man. I appreciate you. So all right, we gonna do Jake Ferguson.
Well, yeah, depending on whatever scheme, but I mean, he's a good blocking tight end and he can catch. So yeah, I'll go with Jake Ferguson on this one.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so we are going to. Woo, we gotta wait till pick 81. All right. All right.
You
Yeah,
know what you need? You need the Jeopardy music there, the final music
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Nah, man, that would be perfect if I could add that to it. We'll
Do,
definitely work
do,
on that in
do.
the future, man. Oh man, I agree with you, man. I mean, I want to give. I believe his name is Matt Efurbis, the defensive coordinator for the Colts. I really thought they should have went the offensive route in terms of their head coach because I think whoever you bring in at DC, man. I mean, you got Khalil Mack. They got a solid defense over there, so I definitely thought they should have went the offensive route, but you got to give the guy a chance. So we'll see what happens, man. So let's
All
see.
right.
We if we're looking at just overall position, let's see who we got. So we got Kyra Williams. Isaiah Likely is there too. Very
Still there.
productive.
Damn.
Quay
Who do we
Walker.
have? Yep. Who
Clay
do? All right.
Walker still
So
there? Damn.
yeah, if you look at the positional, if you go to position for the linebacker, who's the top one that's still? Who's the top one there?
Damon Clark
No,
from LSU.
wouldn't mind a
I mean,
linebacker in that spot.
I wouldn't either because I do think that we need some linebacker help. I got to be honest with you.
I go with well, Dan. Even Brandon Smith dropped there. So
You also
this
have
guy from Penn
Leo
State.
Chanel too.
Exactly. So I mean, if we're just going off of it, what is here right now, I would have to go with Quay Walker at this pick.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Quay Walker, I'll take it. I'm not going to be upset with it. I would want Leo Chanel, but Quay Walker, man, you're getting a beast of a player right there in the third round, especially at 81. I'm shocked that he fell this far. To be honest, I thought he would have went early third, maybe mid round in the second. But I'll take him there, man. That's value. I will gladly take him.
I'm just surprised that Malik Willis dropped to the third.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely shocking. I want to see who picked him really quick. But just
He got
uh,
picked right after us. Houston.
Well, I don't think he's going in the first. I really don't think he's going in the first. I think mid second, beginning of third is his window.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
So
I could see
yeah,
that. I mean, I think that. I mean, if we're being real, I think a player like Malik Willis, if you could put him in a scheme, I think honestly, like even Washington, man, I think he would do pretty good over there. Um, but I mean, if Seattle were to move off of a player like Russell Wilson, I mean Malik Willis, man, I think that that could be a player to look out for to go to Seattle.
well, you know what? Just you know what? His squad what terrifies me about him is I don't want to get stuck in a situation with Philadelphia where you got a quarterback who can't read defenses, who can't identify stuff, has bad awareness, can't throw, just can't make the throws like a good quarterback, and then you're stuck having to run just read option stuff. That
Yep.
terrifies me. I mean, it's effective and you can beat on lesser teams with it, but I mean, just when you play a real good team, you're going to get slaughtered, and I don't want to be stuck in that spot where we have to reinvest in quarterback again the next year or the year after. Just take a real prospect, man. That's my feeling on it.
Yeah, I'm there with you, man. I mean, again,
Jeff
and I
made a good
understand
comment.
that point actually. I really do. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is that answer over there, but I mean, if you're telling me that he's in the third rounds, I mean, even in the second, I mean, I wouldn't take him in the second, but if he's in the second, I wouldn't be upset if they took him just off of the value there. But again, I just think that we have more precedent needs that we have to take care of, man. Let me just read this comment real quick before we do pick 108. Jeff says, I know everyone is celebrating getting Schoen and Daboll, but we can't think what happened in Buffalo will automatically happen with the Giants. We need to let the process play out and let them reshape the New York Giants. Absolutely, Jeff. I'm not gonna lie. I found myself getting annoyed when people were expecting Daboll to come in here, if he were to come in here, which now he is, but if he were to come in here, he would turn Daniel Jones into Josh Allen. I I think that's an expectation you should not have. I think he may get the most out of Daniel Jones, but there's not too many Josh Allens in this league, man. So I mean, I definitely did not like when people were saying, oh, he would come in and make Daniel Jones Josh Allen. But I agree, we gotta let this process play out.
Definitely,
There's only
definitely.
three Josh Allens. There's Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert. That's the only three in that
Exactly, and
tier to
honestly,
me.
man,
So,
if you want to throw him in here, I gotta be honest, you gotta throw Watson in that conversation.
I just don't think he has that high end throw power like them other three guys that I talk about. I know he's got a big arm and he's versatile and he's a great player, possibly a top 7, 8 quarterback in NFL. I just don't view him as I'm talking like high end Dan Marino, John Elway type arm strength and power and precision. Brett Favre, like I just view Herbert, Mahomes, and Allen in that top tier, like just supreme. You know what I'm saying?
I get
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely understand that. Let's see real quick. What are y'all feeling? If we're talking about positional value, you still have Vernon McKinley, the third from Oregon. You have Brees Hall. I mean, you got Hassan Haskins here. I'm sorry, Hassan Haskins was really what I think he did really well over there in Michigan, especially this year.
I like Brian Robinson better.
Okay, let's see
The
if
running
he's
back from he's the running back from
Bryce
Alabama.
Hall's a
Matter of fact,
DB. Bryce Hall's a DB, right?
Brees Hall is a running back from Iowa State, but let me see
Oh,
real.
okay. Okay. Never
You still
mind.
have
I'm out of
Kobe
my
Bryant
element.
here. You have Josh Cobe, Jalen Watson. If we're
where
talking
we
about
at for wide receivers?
that's a good that's a good point. All right, so let's see
Mhm.
what we got at wide receivers. You got
Alec Pierce.
Ooh, Alec
Alec
Pierce.
Pierce.
How did he
Hands
fall?
down, Alec Pierce.
What you think, in giant opinion?
Honestly, I haven't even scouted any wide receivers in this draft. I know Chris Olave. I know the Ohio State guys. I don't know anybody else. So
That's okay. No problem. Alex
I'm just
Pierce.
beginning my scouting.
I mean, hey man, it's all good. I mean, I've heard of Alex Pierce. There was a couple games for Cincinnati I watched this year, and I thought he looked pretty good. I definitely want to do more research into the guy, but if we're talking about just overall value, I have no issue selecting Alex Pierce right here because we do need wide receivers. As we spoke earlier, if we cut a lot of these players, man, we're gonna need some going into next year. So definitely, let's do Alex Pierce here.
What do we got for safeties coming up next round? Check them out, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to need some safeties, man, because I don't think they keep Peppers either. So
See,
we're
because in
definitely
that spot right there, instead of taking wide receiver, I'd probably be trying to look for a safety if there's one that has any kind of value.
for sure. Let's see. We could definitely take one in the next pick if this thing would speed up.
do, do, do,
Do, do,
do.
do. But shout out the chat, man. You guys made this stream really fun. Uh, I, I was falling behind on the comments, man. Trying to answer one question, then go to another, and then there's 10 more comments that pop up. So I appreciate you guys, being in the comments and helping us with this draft and giving your inputs, and just really just asking us questions, man. I really appreciate it. So shout out y'all.
Yo, Jeffy's a good fan. I need to get this man over to my channel. You better subscribe, Jeffy. Don't make me come for you.
Hey, I mean, you can find him on Twitter. He on Twitter too. I
I
know
don't
Yes,
you.
go
he
on
is.
that shit. I don't go on. I can't stand Twitter. It's horrid.
I love Twitter, man. I love
I
it.
love
Y'all,
it.
Oh, you're out of your
I love,
mind.
I love
You're out of your
causing
mind.
chaos. I love it.
I mean,
Toxic.
when you nah, I mean, in ways it is, but you really get to see exactly, people's mentality and how they think, up close. Because some people have some good takes, and some people have some takes that are like literally out of this world crazy, and you
Yeah,
gotta
they're the
wonder.
ones I can't go on there for. I see that shit. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's look at some safeties here real quick. You got Tyson Anderson from Toledo. You got Brian Cook from Cincinnati. Uh Amari
I've heard
Carter.
of Brian Cook. That's who else you got?
Dane Belton from Iowa, Reed Blankenship from Middle Tennessee.
I've heard that name before. Reed Blankenship. I've heard that name. Well, here's the question: if we're trading Bradbury, what does it say as far as who's available for cornerbacks?
That's a good point. Let's look here.
If you're trading Bradbury, you're probably taking a corner earlier than this. You think? Yeah, you
Uh,
are.
Good chance,
yeah,
yeah.
but we all. I mean, if we want to look at late round selections for corners, man. I mean, you could throw Aaron Robertson in there. I mean, this is round 5, so it's a little later, but I mean, but I honestly, man, looking at the cornerbacks compared to looking at the safeties, I got to be honest with you. I would rather take a safety here.
Well, cornerbacks always get a run taken on them. It's like second, third round. There's a huge run on them. They always go in a big clump. It seems like
Facts,
people
facts,
start
man.
to panic, like, "Oh no, we're losing all our guys. Grab one."
And I mean, you're right. Let me see here. So Blankenship, Dane Belton, man. I mean, it's a little tricky here, man. We could go guard here. We could go interior defensive line, which I could see them absolutely doing.
Wouldn't mind a
You
defensive
have
tackle
Haskell
or a
here.
guard right here. Wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, defensive tackle.
So we want to do defensive tackle. All right.
Let's
Who's the
So
fattest one? Who's the fattest son of a bitch on here? They got the weight.
Haskell Garrett. I can't believe he
yeah,
dropped that far, but yeah, I've heard good things about
Myron
Haskell Garrett.
Tagovailoa. Oh, I didn't
Grab
even
the
see this. You
fattest
got
one.
Haskell Garrett right here. I didn't even see that. So let's see. Y'all want to select Haskell? Oh my God, Haskell Garrett, or are we feeling Christopher Hinton from Michigan?
Oh, I
Or
know him. He wrecked Linderbaum in the championship game, and he just wrecked him. That kid is no joke. But I don't remember him being that big. But Hinton is a good player. I know that. I've seen him enough to know he's decent. It's up to you guys, though. I'm kind of out of my element this
I'll
back
take
in the
Hinton.
draft.
That Michigan defense was no joke this year. That's part of the reason why I wanted Ojabo. To be fair with you, but I would not be upset with Christopher Hinton here. I didn't even see him here. I
Go
was over.
back and look what he did to Linderbaum. It's pretty damn impressive. It actually made me second guess Linderbaum when I watched that game and watched what he did to him. So yeah, yeah.
All right, you okay with that pick there, Rod?
I mean, based off of need, I mean, uh,
Or would you prefer a safety? What are you thinking, my friend?
shoot, you can't go wrong with another defensive tackle. I mean, we're getting rid of Shelton, that's for damn sure. And I think he's a top. Who's the other two that's left?
I mean,
Austin,
I don't think they pick up Dexter Lawrence's 50-year option.
I think
which
they
they
do.
should. I think they do. They should. I mean, he has potential.
He had as
Plus
many
we need.
pressures as Leonard Williams last year. It goes really unnoticed because he gets held a lot in there and he don't get calls. So I think he does a lot more work than people see.
It's a toss up for me as far as cornerback going for need and based off of best BPA. But I do like that kid Haskell Garrett from Ohio State. But I think I'd see what we have as far as with cornerback and the safety right now.
Okay, so you said cornerback or safety, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I mean, if we're talking safety, man, I'm looking at Blankenship, to be fair.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's either going to be Blankenship at safety or we got oh my God, I just missed it right here. Yeah, or
Haskell
Christopher.
Garrett.
So Charlie, you are the decision maker here. What we doing?
Dude, you're good. I don't know either player very well, so you guys are good.
You know what? I'm gonna let this for Rodney. Rodney, we'll take Reed Blankenship.
All right.
All right, we're almost done. We're about to head into the 6th round. I don't believe we have a 6th round pick. I could be wrong. I believe we have 2 7ths, but we're
I
about to
think we have. I think we have a 6th round pick. Not 100% sure.
I don't know why for some reason I thought we traded it this year.
We may
Yeah,
have.
I think it goes for a price, don't it? Because he played so many games. It
Yeah,
was like a thing in the
definitely.
contract. We're about to find out, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Let me see. Okay, damn, we have pick 173.
Yes, yeah, we definitely have a 6th-round pick, I believe. Yeah.
Well, Gettleman did something to get one back.
All right, man, we are coming up. All right, so we got 173 and 181.
All right.
And I think that should wrap it up right after
I'm
that.
good for really anything here, even running back if you want to go in that direction. Any which way you want to go here.
I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a corner here just for depth purposes. Um, I wouldn't mind it at all. Who's here? There's no one really here that I'm really trying to pick up.
What tight ends are still available?
You have
That's
Garrett
not bad.
Prince.
Ho, Charlie Kolar.
I'll
Still
take
there.
that, man. He fell this far.
He fell that far. I take him in a heartbeat right there. I
Okay.
mean, we could wait until 181, but there's a good chance that he might be gone. So,
I
I
think they
mean,
can go to either Dallas or Jacksonville if that's the case.
yeah,
But I'll
I'd
take
pick
him
him
right
up right
here,
there.
man.
I pick up
Charlie,
Charlie
you got
Kolar right
anything to
there.
say?
Grab him.
Let's
Grab
get
him.
it.
Now we can see what we got as far as what is it, cornerback?
Yeah, we could do that too. Let's see. Or we could do that. We could go grab maybe another guard if you want for depth purposes.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Not bad thinking.
So you got Chris Paul from Tulsa, you got Chris Owens from Alabama, Nick Ford from Utah, Cade Mays from Tennessee.
I know
The
that's
only one on here I'm familiar with at the moment is Chris Owens from
Me as
Alabama.
well. Me as well. It's the only one I know. And I'm an O-line guy, fellas. It's the only
Yeah,
one I know.
at least out of all these players right here, the only one I'm aware of is Chris Owens.
what do you got as far as tackle?
Let's see.
Remember, you can always kick one of these tackles on the guard as well.
Yeah, so yeah, let's go with the I will go back and wait, is that guy Volston still around? I think he's a tackle.
Nah, he's gone.
Wow.
If I go to interior, yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, I would go with the guys you said, Chris Owens.
Chris Owens. All right, so we're getting. Hey, that's pretty good value right there, especially in round 6, man. Yeah. All right, let's get it.
He's not
We
the
should,
most athletic guy, but he should get the job done if you need him for a game or two.
facts. All right, we're almost done. We're in the last round. Sorry it took this so long, guys, but I selected this on slow for some reason.
No problem, man.
Sorry, I'm slow anyway, so makes sense.
Hey, man, me too. But hey, let's see. Damn, the Rams got 2 back-to-back picks here. 3, damn near.
Well, they ain't got no first round picks, so I guess they need to
Yeah,
get something.
I was about to say it, man.
Do they have 2nd-round picks at least?
Probably not. I don't know.
They traded their second this upcoming draft for Von Miller.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
ready to win now.
great, man.
They
I mean,
don't care about
yeah.
the draft.
Exactly. That's what you see when you buy a team, man, because I mean it is what it is. If they win, I guess it shows that you can't buy a team to win.
yeah, no, definitely. I agree
They'll,
with you there, man.
There'll probably be a car crash in 2 years.
Yeah, because of all that money that they, put away as far as, those picks and picking up people and how much you got to pay them. I mean,
Yep.
just think about it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. I mean, this is looking like a solid draft from us, man. I got to be real. This is looking like a solid draft.
I just can't believe that in this draft here that Alec Pierce dropped that far.
Yeah.
Jake
for me, I
Ferguson
was
dropped
Jake
that
Ferguson.
far.
Jake Ferguson, what I thought he would have won at least in the second round.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
But at the same time, they also had the Lions selecting a cornerback at 2. So
yeah.
take it for
So
what you will.
Stingley is no joke. Don't sleep on
He
him.
isn't. He isn't. I just something tells me, man, that they're gonna take either Thibodeau or Hutchinson if he's there.
I think they're going to take Neal if he's there, but
Who are we talking about there?
The Lions.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it was more or less their offense was producing. I think it was more or less the defense. So I don't. I don't see them. I don't see an issue with them picking. What's that guy's name there? Stingley. I don't think that would be a stretch. They definitely need help in the secondary.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man.
yeah, their other guy who was the other kid they picked way early in the draft? He hasn't worked out at all.
You talking about Panay Sewell?
No, they picked a corner 2 years ago, and like way early, like pick
Oh, I
6 or
know, I
something.
know who you're talking about.
I can't think of
Okuda.
his name. Yeah, and I thought he was a great prospect. I was thinking he was damn near a can't miss, but
Who's
he's looked
that?
awful.
Who was that?
Jeff Okuda.
Yeah. You're right.
He
You're right.
was injured
Oh,
though this year as well. He
yeah,
did for a season-ending injury, but
yeah. I think it was his Achilles that he.
yes, it was. It was.
Okay.
So, guys, this is our draft. At 5, we got Ikem Kwanu. 7, we got Tyler Linderbaum. 36, Jermaine Johnson. 67, we got Jake Ferguson. 81, Quay Walker. 108, we got Alex Pierce. 145, Reed Blankenship. 173, Charlie Collar. And lastly, at pick 181, we got Chris Owens from Alabama. So I was gonna have people come in. I mean, but we're this stream's been going on for damn near over 2 hours. I'm gonna let these guys get some rest, but this is gonna conclude the first episode of the Big Blue Topic. I had a lot of fun. I appreciate everyone coming through in the chat. What is going on, NYG31? I'm glad that you could join, my man. It's nice seeing you. But I appreciate everyone coming through. Giant Opinion, Big Blue Corner. If y'all want to drop your links, do your thing, man. Tell the people.
I don't know how to do that stuff, but I'm just
Yeah,
here so
I got
Dave Gettleman can make an appearance. Here he is, and this
You gotta
and you can
change
see
that.
this is what he thinks about this draft too. He's not happy.
nah.
Yeah, him with his with that Wii controller, man. Get out,
Oh,
get him off.
only
Get him
one
off.
hog molly. Only one hog molly.
So funny, man. But if you guys can follow these guys, man, I'd greatly appreciate it. Their links will be in the description. It was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you guys coming through for real.
Nah, no problem at all, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes,
Good
sir,
stuff.
man.
Thank you. I tried not to interrupt. I'm horrible with that. I tried not to interrupt as much as I could.
Bro, you are good. You did perfectly fine, man. But
All right, man.
we're gonna
Good to hear.
conclude this, man. Hit squad out.
All right.
Peace.
Later.